Good day to you. Welcome to Citadel Academy. Today we'll be doing the permutation and combination calculator project in Java. Without further ado, let's get into the project. I've already created my project folder and the name of my class and the main method. So the next thing is to know the formula for calculating permutation and combination. Okay, like we know n permutation r is the formula is equal to n factorial over n minus r factorial, while n combination r is equal to n factorial over n minus r factorial r factorial. And of course, we are going to be accepting inputs from the user. So the first thing we are going to do, let's just go ahead and import our scanner object. So we say import java.util.scanner. So let's come to our main method and create an instance of our scanner. So let's say scanner input equal to new scanner system dot. Okay, so we've created an instance of our scanner, and then the next thing we're supposed to do, so let's print out something. System.out.println, let's say we are going to print out welcome to permutation and combination calculator. So I think this, at least let's do this for a start. Now let's go ahead and let's say prompt the user to enter. So say system.out.println let's say enter the value of n. Okay, let me give a space here between this welcome to permutation and combination calculator and this, so I'll use the new line escape sequence here instead. So enter the value of n. So I'll use system.out.print, sorry, not print line, just print is enough. Then let's say int n equal to input dot next int. So input dot next int. Then let's prompt the user again to enter another value. So let's say system dot out dot print, not print line, please, print. So it enter the value of r. So we say int r equal to input dot next int. Okay, now what we are supposed to do now, we've already gotten the inputs from the user. The next thing to do is to calculate the permutation and the combination. We can decide to create a method for this, okay, which is what I will be doing. So if you want to create a method for this, we can create the method outside the main method. You can see it's starting from here. Sorry about that. It's starting from here and it ends here. We can create a method here, or we can create a method from here, but I'll create a method at the top. I'll create a method, I'll say public. First, I'll create a method that will calculate the factorial, okay, that will be able to multiply the factorial by itself. So I'll say public static long, then we say permutation. So this is a method that will calculate permutation, sorry, factorial, I beg your pardon, factorial. And then it will take in a parameter of an integer, so let's say int num. Then we continue inside the method. I'm going to create a variable, let me say a long variable, long results. I'm going to name the variable result. This result, let me initialize it to 1 because I definitely don't want it to start from a 0. So I will initialize it to 1. So now that I've created this variable, I'm going to use a for loop, okay, to be able to multiply the factorial. Just as we know factorial, if we say 5 factorial, for instance, it means 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So I want to create a for loop that it will be able to multiply whichever value the user input. it should be able to multiply that value, the factorial of that value. If you put 7, it will multiply 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 2 and 1, like that, and so on. So let me say, for if I use a for loop now, let me say for int I to be equal to 1, because definitely I'm starting from 1, I must be less than, okay, or equal to num. That's the value that the user is going to impute. Then we say I plus plus. Then if this condition is met, this is what we want it to perform. It should come and store the, okay, let me just write this like this: results to be equal to results times I. Now let me explain this code. I will write the shorter version of this code. Okay, so what here means is that whenever this condition is met, it should, the value of this result will be multiplied with this I, and then it will now store it in result again. So let's say we have 3 factorial, so it will come, the user imputes 3 factorial, it will come and check is 3, since I is 1 here, it will now come and check is 1 less than or equal to the value that the user imputed, that's 3, for instance. If this condition is met, it's going to multiply 1 times 1, and it's going to store it in this result, in this variable result. So after storing it, it will now come and increment I by 1. After incrementing I by 1, it will come and check is I will now become 2. Is 2 less than or equal to 3? Yes. It will now come and say, okay, the value, remember the value of this, of the last operation here is 1. It will now come and say 1 times I, now that's 2. After doing the multiplication, it will store it in this result, and then it will come and increment I again by 1. So if I becomes 3 now, is 3 less than or equal to 3? Yes, 3 is less than or equal to 3. It will now come, the last value here 2, it will say 2 times the value of I now, which is 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. It will now store it in this variable result. So after doing that, it will also come and increment I by 1. I now becomes 4. It will now say, it will now ask, check for the condition, is 4 less than or equal to 3? Yes, 4 is less than 3. It will not perform this operation. It will automatically exit this loop. So after it exits this loop, we want it to return the variable I. So let's say return, it should return the result, sorry. So let's say return results now. Okay, so that is it. Now let's come and write another method that will calculate the factorial for us. Okay, so let's say public, that will calculate the permutation rather for us. Public static, then we say long permutation. Okay, so it's going to take in a parameter also. So it will take in two numbers, that's n and r. It will take in these two numbers, these two values that the user will impute. So after taking these values, we know the formula for calculating permutation already. The formula is n factorial by n minus r factorial. So we can just simply say return, that's n factorial, right? So return factorial of what, of n, multiply, divide rather, by the factorial of n and r, n minus r. This is it. We've successfully created a method that will calculate the permutation for that will calculate the permutation for us. As you can see, it says return factorial, that's n factorial. Remember, we created this method here, that will store the that will calculate factorial for us. Let me just do away with this. Okay. Okay, now we created this method that will calculate the factorial. So whichever value the user imputes, this method will calculate the factorial. So after calculating the factorial, it will just come and divide the factorial here by the factorial of n minus r. Okay, so after doing the subtraction of n minus r, it will now calculate the factorial, and then it will return the result for us. Okay, let's also create another method. So we say public, that will store the factorial, that will store the combination, sorry. So we say public static long also combination. Okay, is also going to take into parameters, so int n and int r. So let's let's also create a return type for this method. So let's say return factorial of n by factorial of n minus r, and also multiplying factorial of r. So, and then our semicolon. So this is it. So it's going to return the, after calculating the factorial, it's going to evaluate this expression here, and n minus r, it will give the fact, it will, after subtracting n from r, it will calculate the factorial, and then it will also calculate the factorial of r and multiply the results together, and then it will now come and divide it by this factorial. What we need to do next, sorry please, I want us to put this in brackets, even though it will give us a wrong answer. Put this in brackets, then this. So you put this whole expression on the right hand side in brackets. All of them are supposed to be enclosed in a bracket, okay, so that it will evaluate this expression as one, and then it will now divide, this expression will be the answer here will be divided by whichever answer it got in this expression. Okay, let's create a conditional statement that will check for a condition. We are going to use the while loop. We want the user to be able to, after making the calculation, the user should be decide if he wants to perform another calculation or he wants to exit from the program. So this is what we are going to do. In order to be able to achieve that, we'll be using a while loop. So we say while, and then we use a boolean value, while true. While true, that's while this is true. Okay, sorry, I'm supposed to put this inside the while loop. This is supposed to be inside the while loop, so I will just cut it and then paste it inside. Okay, this is supposed to be inside the while loop. While true, this, it should display this for the user. Okay, and then it should also check for a condition. So we'll now say if let's say n is less than 0, or r is less than 0, or n is less than or equal to r. Okay, if this any of these conditions is met, then it should display this message: system dot out dot print, sorry please, system dot out dot print line, um invalid input, invalid input, please make sure n is greater than or equal to r, and both n and r are non-negative, negative are non-negative. We can say non-negative integers or non-negative, is all the same. So it will display this message, and then after displaying this message, it should continue with this while loop. Okay, it should continue with this while loop. That means it should go ahead and display this message again to the user. Okay, and then the next thing we are going to do, still inside our while loop, let's create a variable. Let's call this variable long. Long permutation n permutation r is equal to permutation of n and r. So let's also create another variable, n combination r equal to combination n and r. we just created a variable here, okay, that will be able to store the answer in this method here, in this method permutation, and also in this method combination. Then after that, the system should display the answer. So we are going to say system dot out dot line. It should display the permutation, the permutation of n permutation r equal to equal to then we concatenate n permutation r, okay, and then the system should also display system dot out dot print line the combination of n combination r equal to, then we use the concatenation, we concatenate n combination r, okay. So here let me correct this n, so that's it. So this is what the system would display. The system would display this: the permutation of n permutation r is equal to the answer here, the answer that will be stored in this variable. Also the same thing, the combination of n combination r is will be equal to the answer that will be stored in this variable, okay. So after this, the system will now display this to the user. So let's say system dot dot out sorry dot out dot print line. It should display this prompt to this message: do you want to continue? Do you want to continue? It should just display a question: do you want to continue? It's asking the user. Then we store, let's say, string choice is equal to input dot next. Since it's a string, there's no, you can decide to use input dot next line, input dot next is all the same. Then now let's write if, let's use a conditional statement now. If choice is not equal, let me use the dot ignore case, is not equals ignore case, and then this thing I want it yes, okay. Then if the user does not input yes, the program should break, it should stop, okay. If the user inputs yes, this while loop will continue. But if the user does not input yes, then the program will break, okay. The program will break, and then after it breaks, system dot out dot print line, let's input a string: thank you for using this calculator, okay. So we come outside, put our semicolon, and then let's close our scanner. So we say input dot close. So we successfully written a permutation and combination calculator now in Java. Now let's test it to see if it will run. So let's save it, and then let's open up our terminal. So our terminal is open. So we say javac permutation combination .java. So it has been successfully compiled, no error. Now let's run it. Java permutation combination. So let's run it, and then you see it says welcome to permutation combination calculator. Enter the value of n, let's say 6. Enter the value of r, let's say 3, and then you see it says the permutation of n permutation r is equal to 120. The combination of n combination r is equal to 20. Do you want to continue? So let me type in yes. Let me type the yes in capital letter. You see, it still went through the while loop again. And then let me see, do 6 combination 3 again. Do you want to continue? This time around, let me type the yes in small letters. So you see, it still went through the while loop again. And then 6 combination 4. So do you want to continue? Let me say no. So you see, it exited the program. It said, thank you for using this calculator. So now you see, we have been able to write a program that will calculate permutation and combination for us in Java. I'll just copy this code and paste it in the description. If you want to make use of it, you'll find it there. With this, we've come to the end of today's project. Thank you so much. Do have a nice day. God bless you.